Oh, g'day, it's Les Mauley here once and again. This time coming at you not from the front veranda there at Mauley Farms, but as a rare occasion, time of day being late evening, about 10:30 at night, to be precise, or thereabouts, from Old Hurley's Bar down the other main street of Mataura down there, and I sat there on the veranda for most of the day and most of the lost evening, and most of this evening at that, polishing off another 57th pack of Spates, and I was thinking, Jesus bloody Christ, Black Gladys, you old bitch, getting a bit lonely apart from your sordid company here. Why not break a rule and actually flee the scene and try to envelop ourselves in a bit of human company for once? So that's exactly what we did. Got in the old Falcon. Pissed as a chook me. Old Lucky, as Lucky Stan, the local constable, was away from the scene here. Rumor had it through the grapevine over the low hills that old Stan was up jolting it up in Dunedin, away from his post. So opened the old passenger door of the old 74 Coon there, and Black Gladys the bitch piled herself on in, dags and all, rattling as she went, and stoked the old bird up, and vroom, there we went. So sat ourselves down here at bloody where you be, and all was going well. About 5 other patrons in the old establishment here, until all of a sudden, door bursts open. I was on my 6th pint there of Spates, and who the bloody hell should step in? Not only who, but who the bloody hell else? Bunch of bloody natives in their black leather garb and such, and oh my goodness me, all eyes turned upon them, and vice versa, as the Romans used to say. But Jesus bloody Christ, old Les Mauley, Black Gladys at his feet, supping from a bloody big-ass bowl full of Spates that Keep kindly put down for her. She was on her last of the 3 legs there, kind of bleated shyly, turned her own head there, meh, as if to warn old Les, warn him about some impending doom or such. Didn't need to do that. Old Les had his head already turned and took a few nervous sips. So this crowd takes a look around, sniffs a few times at the stagnant air. Chink-a-da-chink, crinkle-crinkle, their chains and garb and exfoliaries come sidling over. One of the buggers sits smack down right next to old Les Mauley here, and demands a something or other. I think it was a DB, which the old bugger behind the bar. I don't even know his name. It's been quite a spell since I allowed myself to step within the confines of Mataura, but must have been a new bugger, maybe passing through. So rightly enough, he draws on a tap, and there it goes, and bugger throws back half of it. Before I knew what was happening, slaps me on the back squarely. Old Black Gladys a bitch from the floorboards raises her head. Like that, once again, sounds like a car horn. I said, settle down, old black lad. Mongrel mob member looks me up and down, then looks down the floorboards, sees a bloody black sheep looking back up at him, says, phew, the bloody hell you doing with a bloody sheep in the place, eh? He was a white fella, he was a Pockeaw, like, you know, and, but he had that, put on native accent, you know. Talking of accents, it gets a bit squirrely down our part of the planet. Accents and accents. Potato and potato. But I looks at him square in the eye, forces myself to, and I says, well, she's my best mate, isn't she? He looks me back square in the eye. I struggle to hold my gaze, and after about 2 bloody minutes, I'm not kidding you, about 2 literal minutes, Bugger once again slaps me square on the shoulder and says, you're right, mate. And I wants to say to him, what the bloody hell you doing hanging around with a bunch of bulldogs there? And if to read my mind, he says, oh, these are my mates, eh? It's better than hanging out with a bunch of ponces along George, eh? I said, what? You mean bloody dunners? And he says, yeah. I said, what brings you down this ways? He says, in response to Les Mauley's query, he says, oh, we're getting pushed out of Dunners, eh? Looking to set up shop here, or hereabouts. And I said, oh my bloody Jesus, to myself, although I thought I did, though by that stage, like I said, I was on my 8th, and so I must have spoken out loud. He said, eh? His eyes glaring, and I says, oh, you're thinking about, setting up, house and home here, are you? Kind of eagerly like, a nod of recognition. He says, after a minute, yeah. Got a problem? No, I says, no, I don't. No, I don't. All the while this convo's going on, his bloody mates are milling around, checking out the local, peasantry there in the far corners. A couple of them had already sidled out the back door by this stage, or that stage, however you might want to come at it. But the old bugger, well, he wasn't so old. He must have been in his mid-20s. He was bloody built for his age. It looked like he'd been around the block a few times, I'll tell you that much. Once again, slaps me square. My right shoulder was feeling rather numb by that stage. Your name? Wasn't asking, demanding like, you know. Mauley, I says, stiltedly. Mauley, I says again, for no apparent reason. Eh? Les, I says, stiltedly like. Even more so. Round these parts, are you? Yeah, I says, trying to composure like, you know what I'm saying. Even though I sat down on the stool, I managed to reach down and sidle up my trousery somehow. He looks down at me and he smiles crookedly. No need to worry, mate. We're not here to make trouble, he says. Well, there you go. That's what he said anyway. But his smile, like, it was genuine. So I kind of, somehow or other, a flush of relaxation came over me, like, you know. He says to me all of a sudden, fancy another? And I said, another what? And he said, another bloody sheep, mate. Feeling a bit foolish, I look down at Black Gladys. She stares back at me, alternately at the mongrel mob member, whose name turned out to be Brian bloody Smalley of all things. And I gave her the wink, said, as if to say, settle down, Black Lad, you old bitch. I think this bloke's all right. So he buys us another. He demands that it be DB, not Spate. So I was just about to say, oh, yeah, I'd have it. And I changed, I thought better and said, yeah, another DB. Yeah, thanks, Tom, very much. So we sat there for a good 20-odd minutes. By that stage, I was the only local in the pub. Rest of the patronage were made up of his mates, mongrel mob, former dun-shining blokes, forced down by what turned out to be the bloody triad, whoever those buggers are, moving their way down south, you know. My goodness me, the world's a-changing. But, he says, inquires to old Les Mauley, he says, you ever have any trouble around here, Les? If you do, then let us know. And being a bit looser in the mouth by that stage, I come back at him and I say, well, there is one bloody bit of trouble I've had, been on my mind of late. He says, cut the bloody shit, tell us. I say, I do tell you. It's a fella, you know, late last year, he come pay me a visit. Bloke by the name of Jack McGill. Shoot him off my property, like, you know. Next thing I know, he blows up. He buys a vacant farm next door, or farmlet, across the fence line there. And old Brian Smalley says, "What's wrong with that?" Accusingly, like, it put me on my back foot for a sec, but just a split second, I come back and say, "Oh, bugger stole my prize cow. I miss her dearly." You can see her pictured there in the old pictorial image. She's a fine-looking beast, isn't she? At least her nose is. Well, I can tell you the rest of her is, too. Old Brian Smalley, he leaps up, makes old Les Morley flinch for a sec, and sidles over, jingle-jangle, crinkle-crankle, to his mates, now sat in a far-flung, darkened corner. Has a bit of a obvious discussion with them, and all of a sudden, like a bloody tsunami, they're on me. Just come flooding in on me from all sides, hiking up their sported trouseries and all that, and smoothing their collared jacketries and such. And soon it was discovered we were off to bloody Jack McGill's place. So Brian sits beside me in the old coon, rest of his bloody mates rum on their Harleys, and a few of them had utes, and off we went, beyond my better bloody judgment, old newly acquired Jack McGill's acreage there, small as it was, hardly bigger than Brian Smalley himself. But soon must have been about 35 minutes later, we arrive, and pitch black dark, must have been midnight, or thereabouts. No need to open the gate. First bugger in the ute bowls that down. We go bowling on in down the long front track. No need to open the door neither. No lights on. Apart from a small, very incidental lightery at the very far back of the homestead there, of the cottage, and "Oi, what the bloody hell's going on?" says Jack McGill, as we come stomping, me being led like as if in an afterdraft, but being sucked along by these big brutal blokes. Come storming in on him. Hasn't got any trousers on. He's sat before bloody computer, sordid images on the screen, and I won't go into details, but my newly acquired mate Brian lifts him up by non-apparent colliery, and demands to know where old Doris is stashed. "You not get her? You'll have to kill me," says old Jack McGill. "No worries about that, mate," says Bry, and as I did recently come to know him as Bry. Finally, after much manoeuvring and dunking in the toiletry there, old Jack McGill, bugger his soul, lets loose on Doris's whereabouts. So we all trudged back. She wasn't in no apparent sight. Bugger must have been a bit paranoid that old Les would come over and discover her whereabouts. So she was stashed behind some manuka bloody trees. Not even in the barn, but this was a couple of fields back. Didn't know his property stretched that far. He's been expanding in his time. One of these bloody gentries is new age gentrification. He's probably going to open up a bloody Starbucks or something American of the sort on the back paddock there. But in time to come. But in fair time, trudging around the dock, we did come across old Doris. Looked as haggard as all get out. My mate Bry led her by the nostrils. Somehow managed to cajole her into one of the utes. And happened to be a 72 ute, HQ. Yeah. Very nice collection of vehicles these blokes have. And so back to Mauley Farms we rambled. I said, hey fellas, stop a sec, I'll just open the... No need for that. Gate went down with a clatter, given the first ute. Thanks very bloody much. But I shouldn't complain, because old Doris is back with us now. Me and Black Gladys the bitch. So we make a happy home, the three of us. And ever since, last few nights, we've been sitting on the old veranda there. The three of us there. Well, Doris takes up most of the room. Black Gladys beside my left trousery there. Doesn't take up that much room, and me. Old bloody Les Mauley and the 40 and dwindling count of space. And I think I've made a new few mates here there, and they've already seemed to have acquired the gist of the town. Seem to have made themselves right at home. And I'm just bloody glad I'm one of their new mates. I hope it stays that way. I don't know if I'll go back down to the pub anytime soon, but they come visit me anytime they want. And do I have any say in the matter? Good on you, from Les.